Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back. It's Paula here with Paula's Imperfect Plans. Thanks for clicking on another video. Today, so here on Paula's Imperfect Plans, we do all things my personal finance, in addition to a little bit of planning kind of interspersed in, but really just the main focus is the budget. So we are here today to do our paycheck budget setup. My husband and I are both employed full-time. I work at a nonprofit as a social worker, and my husband works for the roads department for our local county. We are both employed full-time. We are a two-income household, and we get paid bi-weekly on the same Fridays. So I am budgeting approximately $1,206 for myself and $1,554. That's not a 5. 44 for his income. I am not at this time expecting anything beyond our 2 paychecks. So that puts our total wages at $2,760.44. As we move down to our fixed expenses, April 18th. Okay. I had a moment where I was confused. Donation. I don't have anything currently budgeted for donation with this paycheck. Half of our internet bill. This is our first month with the internet bill increasing. So it was supposed to go up $7. So I just increased both of these to $35, and we'll just see what ends up coming out. But that should be the second half of our internet, because I wasn't clear if that was before or after taxes and fees and stuff. So $196.08 is our cell phone bill. Our life insurance is $131 per paycheck. And then these are technically sinking funds, but they are for fixed expenses. So I do put them in my fixed expenses to count them as bills, where I keep over here some of the more flexible sinking funds. So insurance is towards our vehicle and homeowners insurance. We pay both every 6 months, and they're due at the same time. Typically with the first paycheck, I set aside $300 and then $100 with the second paycheck. It is due in May. So we are getting close to that due date. The second paycheck, I set aside $35 for our registration. I actually, so April 18th, my registration for my vehicle is due in the month of May. I already got the bill for that and pulled the $61 out of the registration sinking fund. And then the rest of our 2 vehicles, or like a truck, a van, a motorcycle, and like 3 trailers are all due in September. They're all registered and do get paid. That's my husband's birth month. Okay. Workout. I think I'm putting $5 into the annual sinking fund for that expense and $10 towards Mint Mobile. We have an extra phone. I don't want to call it my kid's phone. My kids are not old enough for any reason to have a phone, but we do have just an old cell phone that has Mint Mobile coverage. It stays at our house. My almost 9-year-old will stay home alone for very short periods of time. If they also use it to call grandma, so they're not always asking it to be on my phone. But other than that, they don't use it other than, sometimes, I don't know, if I'm running late from work or my husband is running late from work, whoever's supposed to be home for the bus isn't home from the bus, they have a way to contact us in those short situations. Anyway, so saving up to repay that annual bill, I think in September. And then school lunch, that's obviously not a sinking fund. That is really more of a variable expense, but I don't have as much room down here. So I don't know what the school lunch bill will be. So it varies so much. Our school does it now. This is the first year doing it where we don't just put money on the account. That's, I think, kind of the traditional way it's done. That's the way my parents always did it. That's the way it's been for us up until now. I think it's easier for them to manage financially rather than like keeping the money in the accounts or however it goes to bill us. So they bill us. So I think it's supposed to be every 2 weeks. It's the same way that they bill, like if people pay preschool tuition monthly, I just paid mine up front at the beginning of the year, or there's a before and after school program. They bill that every 2 weeks as well. So they just bill whatever you've used, and that's breakfast and lunch. My kids are there in time every morning and have the option to eat breakfast along with the probably 4 breakfasts that they eat before they leave. So I don't know what that bill is going to be. And they're not super consistent about what day they pull it, which is fine. That's not me complaining. But like the bill that I just paid was like $152. So I think they had almost gone 3 weeks without pulling it, which is, again, that's okay. I just went on to look and see where they were at. And even if they wait a full 2 weeks, I'm still only looking at like I don't know how much of a bill. Plus I have $34.96 of a credit from the fundraising app that I use for other things that goes back to the school that the school then puts on our lunch accounts because they're awesome. Anyway, so I have no idea. I'm budgeting way on the high side for school lunch because I don't want to get caught off guard, but I really don't know what that is yet. And it varies so hard that like with the last paycheck, I think I was thinking that credit would hit in time and the credit didn't hit. And it was a high, obviously, time period, so it was $152. And I was like, oh, well, like, I wasn't expecting that. But again, not the end of the world. I adjusted, and it was just fine. But very, very variable, which is okay. Just means I have to pull money from things sometimes I'd rather. It's to feed my kids. So, all right. So that puts our fixed expenses, or this category total, at $632.08. So if I subtract that from $27.60 and 44 cents, that leaves us with a difference of $21.28.36. So we're going to bring $21.28.36 down to our variable expenses category. I don't know how many of you, first of all of you have been watching me, and if you're here, like, you clearly watch other budgeters. But this is the Budget by Paycheck workbook from the Budget Mom, and I have the printable version, so I have printed and put it into a big happy planner situation. And so we're doing our zero-based budget. We've moved down into our variable categories. For groceries, we pull $280 every 2 weeks. That's always the caveat that it includes none of our beef, which is our main protein source. I was going to say it doesn't include our pork, but I think we're out of pork from our last hog that we had when we had our own last year. But we do have beef from our meat in the locker. I mean, that came from the locker in the freezer. So Dine Out is getting 100. I don't know why I had to find that on the spreadsheet. That's what it gets. Okay, 140 goes to spending. That's 70 for me and 70 for my husband for absolutely whatever we want to spend it on. $0 for beauty. Really the only thing, that's if I get like my like any makeup, which I really don't wear makeup very often at all. Otherwise, like face wash and stuff and moisturizer of mine, or I try to get a pedicure every 4 to 5 weeks because that's just one thing that I really enjoy doing for myself and spending a little bit more money on, but nothing for that this pay period. Drinks is getting $60. That's not donuts anymore. That's kids' allowance. Started a new chore chart with my kids. They have a chore every day, and at the end of the week, they are eligible for $3. I made them envelopes because this is something, again, like I have no idea how to do this, how to teach my kids well. So they just have their envelope. And then I have an envelope for give, an envelope for save, and an envelope for spend. And we're starting to talk about, so I put $1, their allowance each week in each of those. Then they can take that $1, because one of these dollars was for them to put like in the church collection. They have, they can do that. And then the spend, they can save it up to buy something, and the save will eventually end up in their savings accounts. They really like to see the money in their envelopes, which I totally empathize with. I'm just trying to get them to understand that it would feel so much better if it were in the high yield savings account earning interest, right? But anyway, so 3 kids times $3 a week times 2 weeks in a pay period. That's where 18 comes from. Car washes, I have $30. I think we still have car wash money, to be honest. So if we have money to roll over, or maybe anyway. So I either won't take this or I'll pull the 30 out and roll it over and take this, because I don't think we will wash cars before we get paid again. But I like to have the money in the budget if we choose to do so. We live on gravel and work meals. I have no work meals this pay period in this next 2 weeks. Amazon subscriptions is all of our household stuff. Kleenexes, toilet paper, paper towels, toothpaste, soap, deodorant, pods, dishwasher, soap pods, kids toothpaste, kids gummy vitamins usually, or they take like a melatonin gummy sometimes at night, especially my son with some meds that he's on, helps him sleep or helps him get to sleep. I don't know. It's all on the garbage bags on the rotating subscription, kind of just depending on obviously how often it's set up for. I plan to put $50 towards gas. So I put gas on our Quick Star reloadable gift cards. And we go through the Raise Right fundraising app, which gives us a percentage back that goes to our school, which they then put that portion on our school lunch account, which is why I do it this way. The reason that we have so little in gas, if you are new here, I drive for work a lot and I get reimbursed mileage. So like for instance, and my mileage check also goes to that gas, and depending on the time of the year, we can live exclusively in gas on what I get back. So my reimbursement that should be coming, it'll come before this paycheck, but after I'm filming it, is like $475, I think was last month's. It was March's mileage reimbursement. So that funds the majority of our gas, in case you're wondering why for two people who drive, we only have $50 in gas. Okay, so oh, and the reason, so there's a 29-cent fee to do that online or to like purchase it through my bank account to do it at all. Because if you use a credit card, it's like, I don't know, 4% or 3%. So it's just 29 cents for that transaction fee. So our variable expenses then are $773.29. If I subtract that from 2128.36 that we started with, we are left then with $1355.07. And I actually do have a couple of miscellaneous expenses. Oh. So I'll show that in a minute. Okay, or I'll put that in another section. See, that's what I don't, that's one thing is like I have a lot of things that are variable and that section is super small. I should almost switch them. I don't know. Anyway, that's just me complaining. So $1355.07. Going to our sinking funds. Emergency, we are completing the 2025 and 2025 challenge. And for this paycheck, we are putting $80 into our emergency fund with that. $100 towards vacation. Propane, I don't think it's getting back to the right spot. Propane is getting $20. Christmas we do that in cash now in challenges, but $40 to Christmas. Toward our vehicle, home, and pets binder that we are working on, that gets $45. Into our kids sinking fund online, we put $50 per paycheck, saving for summer daycare, in which I will have to pay a nanny for my kids. And so $160 per paycheck I put towards that. Medical, I'm trying to beef that up a little bit as my husband is looking at an upcoming surgery. So $100 is going to go into the medical sinking fund. And then home, pets, and vehicles is intended to get nothing because I'm putting it into challenges, not right into the sinking fund. I'm not saving for tattoos. And then our savings challenges would be our minis and our holiday binder, and that totals $210. And then I think I'll put my miscellaneous here, and I'll just explain. So I have a miscellaneous category that should absolutely go under. Okay, so I will be paying, nope. So I explained that my husband was likely going to have surgery. So with that coming up, I have a $20, he had a surgeon consultation, so that's $20 copay. And so the smaller medical expenses, I'm aiming to cash flow because I don't want to pull out of the sinking fund because I'm really trying to beef that up for like the entire out-of-pocket amount that will come with the surgery. So $20 copay, I'm going to cash flow. I had to order my daughter some glasses. She's so damn hard on her glasses, so we ordered a pair from like Zenni Optical, I think it is. $34.85 is what those are. something that I would consider medical, but I'm going to cash flow. And then I got a $9.62 bill from the auto parts store in our town. And I honestly don't know if it's like personal or farm. And rather than trying to figure it out or take money from the farm, I'm just going to cash flow and pay that $9.62 with our paycheck. So those are the three things that make up that miscellaneous line item. So let's add that to So that means my total is $869.47 for savings. If I subtract that from $1355.07, that should leave us with $485.60. Okay. Then if I come down to debt, I don't plan to have anything in the buffer. So when we look at extra debt, so now this is different. I was doing, well, I guess it's kind of the same. So now the HELOC is fully transferred to a 0% interest balance transfer card, like insert whooping and stuff. Okay. So, how am I going to, so I think I'm going to do it like this. The, extra debt, okay. So the city card, the Wells Fargo card was like the first original balance transfer, and now the minimum on it, and then I had to balance transfer it again because it's stupid, from the city card to the Wells Fargo card, because that's the way I could do it. $365 is the minimum payment per month that has to go towards Wells Fargo to have it paid off before the time frame is up. The city transfer card, which is, or the city, whatever, debt is the newest, like the last bit of stuff that I transferred. That one actually, because this other debt started on the city card, that time frame is shorter. So that's where I'm going to put, there's not that much of a difference in the balances, but that's where I'm going to fund all of the money, all of the extra money, because, that one, the interest will run out sooner, or the 0% interest will run out sooner. So that should be $365 plus $120.60 does equal $485.60, which brings me to our zero-based budget here at the end. And then that focus now is our city card, and that's where all of the extra stuff will go, while that $365 is our minimum monthly payment that we need to pay that off before, I think it's like August 15 of 2026. This one is March of 2026. So we got to push a little bit harder on that, but that's where the bigger things are going to go moving forward. So anyway, this is my budget with me. Zero-based budgeting. I wanted to do a video of like in the last year since I started zero-based budgeting, all of the travel that I've been able to cash flow. Because like, and maybe that's not that big of a deal for other people, but we've never traveled before, and let alone have been able to cash flow it. So next weekend, or I guess on this payday, we're going to be traveling. So me and one of my daughters. So I'm really excited to see how this zero-based budgeting stuff ends up working. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all being here every time. Until next time.